The Zephyrian cruiser Astral Conduit had been nothing more than a metallic eyesore in the Nevada desert for 3 years. Admiral Keffer had abandoned it there after the ship's quantum drive suffered what his engineers called catastrophic temporal displacement syndrome, a fancy way of saying the vessel could no longer travel faster than light. To the Zephyrians, a starship without FTL capability was as useful as a submarine without water. Scrap metal, Keffer had declared before departing Earth's orbit. Let the primitive humans deal with it. What the Admiral hadn't counted on was humanity's most dangerous trait, the inability to leave well enough alone. Dr. Sarah Chun pressed her palm against the cool alien hull, feeling the subtle vibration of dormant systems. 3 months ago, the United Nations had finally gained access to the abandoned vessel after years of bureaucratic red tape. As head of the Xenotechnology Integration Project, Sarah was tasked with the impossible, reverse-engineered technology that was supposedly centuries beyond human understanding. The power core is still functional, reported Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, his voice echoing through the vast engine bay. Whatever killed their FTL drive left everything else intact. Sarah nodded, running her scanner along a series of crystalline conduits that pulse with bioluminescent energy. The Zephyrians had built their ships like living organisms, self-repairing, adaptive, efficient. But they had also built them with a fatal flaw: rigid specialization. Their entire propulsion philosophy is wrong, she murmured, more to herself than to her team. They treat faster-than-light travel like it's binary: either you have it or you don't. Over the following weeks, Sarah's team discovered the ship's incredible capabilities. The hull could adapt to any environment, from the crushing depths of gas giants to the radiation-soaked void between stars. The weapon systems could reconfigure themselves based on threat assessment. The life support systems could sustain a crew of thousands indefinitely. But without FTL capability, the Zephyrians had deemed it worthless. They're thinking like engineers, Sarah explained during a video conference with UN leadership. We need to think like mechanics. The breakthrough came when Petty Officer Maria Santos, a former NASA propulsion specialist, suggested something that made the alien consultants laugh through their translation devices. What if we don't fix their FTL drive? She said. What if we build our own? The idea was audacious. Humanity's own experimental Alcubierre drives were decades away from practical application. But the Astral Conduit wasn't a human ship. It was something far more adaptable. Sarah's team began the delicate process of integration. They ripped out the dead Zephyrian quantum matrices and replaced them with a hybrid system that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. Where the Zephyrians had used single-purpose quantum processors, humans installed modular systems that could be reconfigured on the fly. Where the aliens had relied on exotic matter, humans substituted a network of microfusion reactors that could be manufactured with Earth-based resources. The process took 18 months. 18 months of trial and error, of explosions and breakthroughs, of sleepless nights and impossible deadlines. The alien consultants monitoring the project grew increasingly skeptical. Primitive fusion technology cannot generate sufficient power for space-time manipulation, declared scientist Prime Vextol during one particularly heated discussion. Your species lacks the theoretical framework for such endeavors. Sarah smiled politely and returned to her work. The first test flight was scheduled for a Tuesday morning in April. The Astral Conduit, now rechristened Defiant, sat in Earth's orbit, its hull gleaming with a mixture of alien biometal and human-manufactured components. Sarah stood on the bridge, surrounded by displays that showed both English readouts and flowing Zephyrian script. Fusion reactors at full power, reported Morrison from the engineering station. All systems showing green across the board. Sarah took a deep breath, engaged the Morrison drive. The ship didn't just move, it danced through space-time like it had been born to do it. The hybrid propulsion system Sarah's team had cobbled together from spare parts and alien technology achieved something the Zephyrians had never considered: adaptive FTL capability. The ship could adjust its method of faster-than-light travel based on local space-time conditions, switching between Alcubierre fields, quantum tunneling, and dimensional folding as needed. But the real test came 3 days later, when a Zephyrian battle fleet arrived at Earth's doorstep. Admiral Keffer's flagship emerged from hyperspace with the casual arrogance of a species that had ruled the local star cluster for millennia. His message was broadcast on all frequencies. Primitive. Humans, you have violated galactic law by attempting to reverse engineer Zephyrian technology. Surrender the vessel immediately or face extermination. Sarah stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the massive alien fleet arrange itself into attack formation. 12 heavy cruisers, each one larger than anything in Earth's Navy. Under normal circumstances, it would have been a massacre. "Admiral," she said, opening a communication channel, "I think you might want to reconsider your position." Keffer's reptilian features twisted into what might have been amusement. "You pilot a single vessel with dead technology. What possible threat could you pose?" Sarah's smile was sharp as a blade. "The same technology you abandoned as worthless. Jake, show him what human engineering can do." The Defiance didn't just fight, it evolved. The ship's adaptive systems, enhanced by human modular design principles, reconfigured themselves in real time to counter each new threat. When the Zephyrian ships fired energy weapons, the hull adapted to disperse the beams. When they launched kinetic projectiles, the ship phased partially out of normal space-time. When they tried to jam communications, the human-designed systems switched to quantum entanglement protocols. But the real surprise came when 3 more ships decloaked around the Zephyrian fleet: the Resilience, the Innovation, and the Atation Sister. Ships that Sarah's team had been building in secret, using the lessons learned from the first hybrid vessel. Admiral Keffer found himself surrounded by 4 ships that shouldn't have existed, commanded by a species he had dismissed as primitive. The vessels moved with impossible coordination, their adaptive systems sharing information faster than the Zephyrians' rigid command structure could respond. "Impossible," Keffer whispered as his fleet began to retreat. "No species has ever successfully integrated Zephyrian biotechnology with their own systems." Sarah's voice crackled across the communication channel one final time. "You called our ship worthless, Admiral. But you forgot the most important thing about humans. We don't throw anything away. We make it better." As the Zephyrian fleet limped back into hyperspace, the 4 hybrid vessels hung in Earth's orbit like silent guardians. They were no longer alien ships with human crews. They had become something entirely new, a fusion of 2 civilizations. That was greater than the sum of its parts. In the depths of space, other species began to take notice. Humanity had done something unprecedented. They had taken abandoned technology and made it invincible. And in doing so, they had announced their arrival on the galactic stage in a way that no one could ignore. The age of human space exploration had truly begun.